If you're watching this, you're probably going to be watching it after the Super Bowl actually airs. We are recording it before the Super Bowl airs. So just keep that in mind.
This is the real Theo Harvey with Mr. Benja. We were super excited about we're getting to the Super Bowl this week, but not just any Super Bowl. We're talking about the business of Super Bowl, how many people are going to watch it, why they watch it, how much money it costs to put a Super Bowl out there, what makes a great Super Bowl commercial. And then Mr. Benja gets into the show side of things and understanding what's going on into like how to create this stuff and make it interesting. Mr. Benja, what are your thoughts about the Super Bowl that we talked about, that you can give people a teaser of what we discussed in this one?
We're talking about the Super Bowl in general and a lot of the business decisions, a lot of the creative decisions that lead up to it. We get into Kendrick Lamar, we get into some of the commercials, we get into people using it for their advantage, like Ye trying to make some weird kind of play. We're going to discuss that just a little bit. And you know, we talk about that for a bit, rounded out with some trailer reactions for Fantastic Four and Netflix 2025. And we talk about some comment responses. I want to get in the habit of responding to some of the commenters because I think it's like viewer mail almost, but that's pretty much what's in there.
I love it. I love it. So if you want to go straight to the trailers, you know, look below. We got the title descriptions and all that. Just click on that. Or if you just want to listen more about Super Bowl and what's happening there and the business side of things, as well as the show side, go straight to there. But look, I always like to remind you guys, please like, subscribe, comment. We will respond to you, like Mr. Benja said. So please share it with friends if you like what you're hearing, but also comment below on some of your other things that we talk about later about some of your favorite commercials. So please subscribe. Mr. Benja, are we ready to go?
Let's do it.
Let's go. This is Show versus Business, where pop culture meets pop money, with your host, the real Theo Harvey and Mr. Benja. So Mr. Benja, how was your week?
Oh man, week was good but tiring. One of those weeks where I just got good things done, but it was kind of tiring. And, you know, talking to people about the Super Bowl coming up, they're getting hype about it. We're going to be mostly talking about Super Bowl, but people were getting hype about, you know, Trump talking with Japan and stuff happening. We finally got a bunch of rain out here, some storms. So, you know, things are happening, things are moving along. But it was a good and productive week, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, man. Lot of basketball this week for me, man. Yeah, I mean, on the fun side, my favorite basketball team, if you don't know, haters, I love the Lakers, so that's why.
To all my haters.
All my haters out there, FY. Yeah, I'm trying to say that we got a monster trade. It was basically after we kind of did our recording on last Saturday. Late into the dark hours of the night on Saturday night, found out that Luka Doncic was traded to the Los Angeles Lakers for Anthony Davis, and it just blew the internet up. I don't know. Did you get wind of that? I know you're not a super sports guy, but you're out there in LA. Did that kind of bubble up into your purview?
I heard his name, Luka, and I was like, "Oh, that guy," and kept going. I guess he was on the news for some reason, and this must have been it.
See, it was that powerful, man. It even shook you out of what was going on. But yes, it was funny. I got wind of it like late on Saturday. I was watching the Lakers actually play. I guess it was in New York, and my brother texted me out of the blue. He's in Dallas. He said, "You Laker fans are going to be super excited." I was like, "What the hell is he talking about?" And he said, Luka got traded. I said, what? So I went through the internets and did all this other stuff. And check it out, man. People were crazy, man, because when the guy's name is Shams, he's the kind of like NBA insider. He gives you all the scoop. He's the guy that gives you the scoop, right? It was another guy. He retired. So this the new guy, Shams Sharani. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He shows up on NBA 2K25, the video game as well, giving scoops. But anyway, he did the scoop on Twitter or X, and people went like, "What? This is crazy." Got hacked because no one could believe that Luka, who basically is probably the third best player, maybe the fourth best player in the league, who took his team to the NBA Finals last year, who's only 25 and has been All NBA team 5 years in a row, got traded for Anthony Davis, who's a great player, but not on that level. and people just couldn't believe it. And then the guy who Shams, who originally tweeted it out, he said, "I have not been hacked. This is real." So it was just unbelievable. So it just blew up the internet. My Monday, Tuesday was just consumed with just going down a rabbit hole. How did this happen, and why did this happen, and what was going on? And so yeah, man, just, and then there's been a bunch of trades in NBA. There was the NBA trade deadline where I think it kind of dominated football. Here's the Super Bowl week. It's usually all about football.
Yeah.
All these NBA trades kind of bubbled to the front, man. It was like that. Jimmy Butler is going to the Warriors with Stephen Curry. You heard that Wembanyama, who's a big time player from France out of San Antonio, he's got some help with Darren Fox. So if you're really into NBA, it's just like got you really excited about all these new look teams for the rest of the year. And so to your point, I think we're going to talk about Super Bowl and the advertising and what the game means, but basketball, man, finally, think NFL was trying to encroach on basketball with the Christmas football game on Netflix, and then obviously extending the playoffs and extending into NBA time. So I think basketball is like, we finally got people interested enough to talk about basketball over NFL. So kudos to NBA. But yeah, that's kind of was my week. It was just consumed with that side of things. And of course, work, of course, but really the fun stuff was what got me going.
Yeah, it's I've been trying to, you're talking about basketball and Super Bowl's coming up and everyone having kind of just a general good time. And I think I've started to really plan out how I do my fun, my relaxation a little better that goes with my work and not against my work. I think I remember I was talking about, watching zombie films and what it does for me, watching zombie shows, and like how if I ever need that pressure to not become one of the, droning masses, I turn on some zombie. And I was like, yeah, I tried that, but it wasn't working out for me. And I had to switch back to something else. I had to switch back to, out of control anime. I had to turn on some One Piece because it's always positive. It's always a thing, I'm rubber, you're glue, and, bounce off me, it sticks to you kind of thing. I'm just bouncing back all the time. So I was like, yeah, let me throw on some One Piece before I go to bed. And when I wake up, I have that happy little One Piece pirate theme going on. It's like I'm about to wave my pirate flag, get up in your business, and be smiling about it. So it's funny, man. Stuff like this, I'm always trying to like hack my little bits of time and how I move throughout the day. So
I can't get into One Piece. I tried. I tried so hard. I even tried to read the is it manga? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah.
I tried to read the manga. I tried to watch the Netflix. It's just too goofy. But I did, when we were watching the live action version, me and the kids found like certain scenes that were, verbatim from the from the anime. And I said, okay, I can see what, there's some corner of truth, but then they get into that kookiness, right? That's like, this is too much.
My name is the real Theo Harvey. I don't have kookiness in my life. Get that kookiness out of here.
The big eyes, and just like, I mean, Avatar, the last Airbender, the anime that had some of that, but not as much. It was, One Piece had way too much of that.
It's pretty heavy there. There's a basketball anime that you should actually check out, and I found out it was on Netflix. Let me get the name for you because there's more than one that you definitely need to check out. I started reading the manga and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. And then later on, I was talking, I was like, I need to tell Theo about that.
Okay.
It's I was gonna find
something. Me and the son. Yeah, we can put it in the show notes. But yeah, me and the son. Is it kid appropriate? Is it not? Is it one of those where we're seeing everything's cool until now the demons come out?
No. Well, no demons, but it's just called Slam Dunk. There it is. I found it.
Oh, okay, Slam Dunk.
Yeah, Slam Dunk. Okay. It's pretty straightforward. I'm not sure why it's TV-14. I think there may be some elbows to the jaw. When guys going up for a layup, that happens every once in a while.
Okay.
But as far as
a new show, me and the little man can get into. He's all about basketball. So I mean, like I said, when you have kids, it's just you trying to keep, it's not like you're trying to keep off the pole or the pipe, but you also keep them off of the internets, right? Because the internet is grabbing their attention more and more. They can get sucked into these video games, sucked into the mobile phones.
Yeah.
So my daughter's playing volleyball, my son's playing basketball, and he's finishing up his black belt. He should be getting that in March. So his junior black belt for Taekwondo. So super proud of him. Yeah, he started when he was 5 years old, and so they have like a junior black belt. He will get his, official one too. I think has to be like at least 12, but at least he can say, hey, I got a black belt. And then if he wants to go back and get the more advanced one, that's fine. But yeah, so I'm super proud of him. So he's got 1 more month to go. So yeah, so the kids have been kind of immersed into the whole athletic scene, and so basketball is one of those things that he really gets into.
You said they're into basketball. Now, are you also putting them into like do you watch Cobra Kai like with the kid because he's got?
Not so much. I mean, I was thinking about that. It's like, well, wow, you're about to get your black belt next month. I was like, but what made us even put you in karate in the first place? And I think it was the last Avatar, because we went through like right before the pandemic, and then during the pandemic, we watched all of the last Avatar. And so I think, that got him hype about getting into karate and understanding that Taekwondo. But yeah, I don't know what, I think that was one of the impetus, but no, we don't watch Cobra Kai. I mean, it was a little too spicy for him, maybe my 13-year-old, she can watch it, but yeah, he's still 8, 9. Now he just turned 9. So we'll see. Too many little spicy jokes in there right now for him, but
Yeah, it gets heavy. And I just,
speaking of which, have you caught up on it yet? They're about to drop the third and final sequence of the finale, right? I binged it. So you remember how we were, I think that's when we started this whole podcast. That was the first show we kind of talked about.
Yeah, well, when it was on YouTube, and we were like, hey, you need to be watching this. And speaking really quickly, I just want to toss this in there really quickly. I love my YouTube and my YouTube Premium. It's the only subscription I've kept for like all this time. Because
no, you about to drop it?
no, I'm not about to drop YouTube Premium at all. But I saw that little bit of news, and we didn't want to make a whole story out of this, but really quickly, I was thinking about getting Max, and then I got this. You sent it out, and I think Andy sent it out as well. Warner Brothers releases 31 full-length movies on YouTube streaming that you can watch for free. And I was like, oh. And in the back of my head, I'm like, yeah, I don't need to buy Max now.
I agree.
So this is interesting. It's like, what's YouTube's play here? I mean, there's a play they can make. I'm sure of it, and that because it's just too good. Like, why not give out the first 1 or 2 episodes, maybe, or I don't know, on YouTube, and then when they try to click to watch the third one, it's like, hey, you got to subscribe, because you can do channels with YouTube now, like BT Plus and AMC, MGM, and all that. Yeah, it's totally set up for you to do channels. So I was about to, just because I either do my channels through Amazon or through Amazon, but now I'm thinking about it doing through YouTube as well.
Okay. Well, Netflix, I don't know if you noticed, they've been slowly gobbling up all these other streamers' content. I don't know if we talked about it last week, but you can find Paramount Plus stuff on there, Max stuff on there, like all the Warner Brothers movies are starting to pop up on Netflix. So it's becoming the place, basically the world television station. So yeah, I don't think you need to start buying subscriptions anymore. To your point, just get a Netflix. But you saw Netflix is going up. We didn't talk about it, but I don't know if you saw, they're gonna have yet another price increase.
Yeah.
So it's becoming the dominant player right now.
I like how Arizona Ice-T called them out. They're like, unlike Netflix, we're still the same price.
I love it, man. Yeah. So yeah, man, good week for me, man. Wow. So it's a lot of things that we want to get into for this week. I mean, before we get to the Super Bowl, we had a few other things we want to kind of canvas a little bit? I mean, about in the music world, obviously Super Bowl They always have a big performance. Unfortunately, it's in New Orleans, your hometown, but they're not going to have one of the bigger stars performing there, which kind of sucked. But Kendrick Lamar will be there. We didn't put this in the show notes, but what are your thoughts about that? Kendrick Lamar performing, and will he perform Not Like Us?
It would be not like him to not perform Not Like Us. You
Well
just
said.
got to do it. It doesn't make sense if you didn't. I mean, you'd have Coke bottles and popcorn thrown at you as you leave the stadium if you didn't do it. So yeah, he'll definitely do it. But what's interesting is, given the amount of time that he's going to have in the Super Bowl, it's going to be so much more than
Yeah.
he did the last time he was up there on stage, and everybody thought that was great. So now with this little bit of time, now with this longer amount of time, we expect him to, really go in, got a bigger budget, more time, more eyes are on him. And I have no idea what to expect, but I'm all for it.
Oh well, yeah, it's gonna go into the catalog. It's gonna get that consciousness going. But yeah, it's gonna end on Not Like Us, and I think Drake's complete humiliation it will be absolute. I mean, he's performing the biggest diss song of all time. Let's be honest, this is the biggest diss song of all time.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
at the Super Bowl.
So, dog, wait a minute. So Drake's at a Super Bowl party. What do they do during halftime?
Oh,
Oh,
turn it.
oh, that hurts, man. That's too bad.
Hey, man, it is what it
But
is,
you saw
man.
at the Grammys, right? When they were doing when he came up to receive his Grammy, and the entire music industry starts singing along with the song. And if you're in the music industry and you're Drake and you're just listening along, and the entire music industry is singing along, it's like, I can't catch a break.
Nah, man, it's unfortunate, man. It's definitely unfortunate. So that he um yeah, I mean Drake pretty much was kind of keeping the music business afloat for a long time, and they are treating him like a stepchild right now. So it is what it is. That's just the way all this has to perform. So, but Drake, he's still suing. He's out there suing and doing different things and trying to get his power back in the only way he knows how, I guess. But yeah, it's the absolute. His defeat has been absolute, man. It's like the last boss level in an anime, right? You will be totally defeated, and they do all that, and yeah, man, it's done. Poor Drake. Not poor, but it's terrible.
And that's weird that you would have to do that to your record company. Like, the Universal Music Group is basically his boss, and he's going to sue his boss for. I mean, how does this end well? It's just like, ugh. It's just weird.
Well, anyway, man. Yeah, so we talk about music. Do we want to talk about some people we lost recently in the music
Yeah, go ahead.
business?
Let's R.I.P. to Irv Gotti, man. Irv Gotti was a music producer. Um, really started to see more of him late 2000s. I mean, late 1990s, early 2000s. You heard more from him. It was Murder Inc. Basically, you know him for Ja Rule and Ashanti, and a lot of people connected with that. It was never quite on the level of, like the big moguls that you always hear about, like your, Diddy's, Master P's, Suge Knight's, Drake. You never heard about his name on that level, but he was right up there with him. Irv Gotti was always out there doing stuff, pushing boundaries. Really started to bring back that hip hop / R&B thing, as I said, with Ja
Hmm.
Rule, Ashanti, Charlie Baltimore. Um,
Charlie Baltimore.
yeah, you remember
Oh yeah.
her? Okay, yeah. Seven. Uh, who else was? He worked with Nas, Fat Joe, a lot of people. But yeah, man, he passed away, and Dame Dash actually, you know, came up saying, really had some kind words and was like, "Hey, listen, man, sad thing. I don't really want anybody to die like that, regardless of any beef or words they may have had. So,
Absolutely.
R.I.P.
Yeah.
Hip hop. Except for 50 Cent, he was doing a little bit of trolling. But what can you expect from the guy who has made part of his career trolling Ja Rule? Don't know what to say about 50 Cent. Oh man, so either my connection's doing something.
Yes. So Irv Gotti, pioneer, would you say, in the music industry? At least someone who worked with Ja Rule, Ashanti, Charlie Baltimore, all the ones that we remember from the late '90s, early 2000s that, like you may have mentioned before, that kind of infused R&B and hip hop together. I mean, what are your memories about Irv Gotti?
Yeah, it was definitely uh, you know, I wouldn't say he had a new type of sound, but he had a really solid MTV Jams, you know, BET kind of vibe that worked at the time, and it was this new infusion of a street level but pop friendly vibe that he brought to a lot of his productions. For example, he had Charlie Baltimore, Ja Rule, said Ashanti, worked with a lot of different people. It was never that top tier kind of all in your face and everybody knows who you are kind of producer,
Hmm.
but he was always there doing his thing, and really I think moved the industry forward in a subtle but very important way. But I gotta say, people were shouting him out. People were saying, "Hey, we miss you. We didn't want this to happen, but time." And of course, 50 Cent was out there trolling the man who made a good solid chunk of his career about making sure he stayed on top of Ja Rule's neck. He trolled Irv Gotti a little bit. I'm not going to get into it, but 50 Cent is just being 50 Cent, and yeah. But for the most part, everybody had some solid things to say. So, R.I.P. to Irv Gotti.
Yeah, yeah. Well, since we're talking about music a little bit, I mean, do you want to even talk about "He That Shall Not Be Named"?
Yeah. So okay, let me. I want to preface this. We were talking about this a little off the air. Ye is out of his mind. But this I don't say that necessarily in a bad way, because I don't really discuss him in terms of being a person. The guy is a walking art project in my eyes. It's not even like it's like, well, what did he do? And it's like art project. It's just he's just this walking art project. I don't care. Um, so you may like the art, you may not, whatever. But he came up last year because of his viral commercial that he did, and I think he got such a high from doing his Super Bowl commercial last year that this year he's like, I'm going to play off the Super Bowl again. And he makes a collaboration or announces a collaboration with Sean John, aka Diddy's clothing brand. And people were like, what are you doing? He goes on basically a 24-hour Twitter rant. All these websites are struggling to screen capture, video record all the things he's posting up to Twitter and to X and saving it. I'm sorry, X is like calling it Twitter is like calling Kanye Kanye. We call it X. We call it Yay. All right. So, but now everyone's screen capturing, screen grabbing, and trying to copy all these things he's just blasting out there, saying crazy things as usual. I'm not even going to get into them. But somewhere in the mix of it, somebody was like, "Hey, wait a minute. Do you know he's also posting on Red Note?" Red Note being the TikTok alternative that everybody was talking about, owned by China, um, and Red China, Red Book kind of thing. He's over there dropping I don't want to say heat, but he's just dropping the yay isms out on there, and I'm like, what is going on? Why is he doing this? I don't know. Have you heard any of this, Theo?
Oh yeah, I mean, he's saying he is white nationalist, and so that is another word for
Well,
people in Germany, right?
the N word we won't say.
Exactly. So, and then he was at the Grammys, basically pimping his wife out in something that was definitely not safe for work.
Art project.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Art project. And as a matter of fact, I think he even trademarked the term wife by husband or something to that effect, right? So, yeah. So it's, and that's, I mean, someone even put it out there. They said, look, this is at the Grammys red carpet. His wife is basically nude and they had kids walking around there, right? And so on the red carpet. So it's just, I mean, to your point, it's just like no one's talking about him for a while. So his guy's like, oh, well, what can I do now to get the attention back on me again, right? And so to your point, he's doing all these things escalating. He's probably got some new music he wants to promote. So what's the most controversial things I can do to get the attention back out there?
Here's a theory I have, and yes, you're correct. Um, and as I said, this is art project, advertising campaign, separating it from all ounce of humanity. Because if I get into the humanity of it, I might get confused, angry, and upset, um, or just sad. I don't know. But he he released this in just a series of steps leading up to the Super Bowl. You know, he wasn't even invited to the Grammys, by the way. He just showed up and was cutting up with Don Lemon and everybody else, did his thing, and then left, which was great. No need to sit around and waste time. And then later on, they found his wife somewhere at some club or some singing and being happy. So whatever, they're having fun. It seems to me from the outside. I'm not going to try to read body language and all that like the Instagram experts are. But this Diddy collaboration, the Sean John collaboration, um, is interesting because apparently they were supposed to collab before he got sent to jail and before things started falling apart. And I was like, if he's not like a fan of Diddy, like they're not like really besties, why is this even happening? Why would this come out now? If the if the Sean John ship could possibly sink because of its captain, all of a sudden, Ye has access to distribution, storefronts, you know, designers, manufacturers, suppliers. He's got access to all of this that Sean John has built up for decades now. And that stuff is still there. I mean, in terms of like all the infrastructure and connections, that just doesn't really like poof and go away. It can fade and fizzle or whatever, but you can always pick up the phone and be like, hey, this is blah, blah, blah. I got some new clothes for you. Or, hey, can I put these on your truck? All those connections are made. So when I sat back and thought about that, Ye cutting out as many nonsense people as he can and going straight to the sources to get his things done, this Sean John play could be crazy. Crazy.
Interesting theory, Mr. Benja. Nah, I think you might have something there, right? He is all about how does he get his message out there because he's been quote unquote deplatformed, right? I mean, he's still on these platforms, but it's only a matter of time before someone does something. So he's thinking of ways to kind of go directly to the message, just like the Super Bowl, right? How much did he make on? You talked about that? What was it like?
Yeah.
Something like 12 million. It was like couple. What was a couple double? Was it 8 figures or something he made and just off of one Super Bowl, grainy phone based Super Bowl cell phone Super Bowl commercial. Hey y'all want to buy them? They're right here. So it is, to your point, a genius move, a power move to kind of collab with Diddy, who is at his low point right now, and saying, "Hey, I can revive Sean John, but let me have a percentage of that, and then more importantly, let me get access to your distribution channels." Because you're right, they do have all that, right? But I'm questioning if the brand is soiled, right? So it might be hard to kind of maintain that if the corporate partners are running to the hills, right? So it'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I like that theory, Mr. Benja. I mean, I like the way you think. I do.
Like a man who can understand yay.
Yeah. Who knows what goes on in that guy's head?
Did you ever go to any of the Sean John stores?
I did not.
Yeah, they were actually pretty well done. So giving Yay access to all that, I don't know. I'm just sorry, just thinking thoughts here. I don't know, but we
Well,
can go on from there.
I think music, entertainment, that's really kind of what we talk about. But this is the show about the Super Bowl, Mr. Benja. And yeah, I think even casual fans watch the Super Bowl, if nothing else, for the commercial and the music. This year, they have the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles, who played a couple years ago, and the same quarterbacks, Jalen Hurts and uh, the big one, Patrick Mahomes, who's like the number one quarterback. If he wins this Super Bowl, and I'm talking guys from the sports standpoint, right? So then we can get into the show and the business side of it. But from the sports side, there's something on the line here because Patrick Mahomes could be the first quarterback in the NFL, modern NFL history, basically, that started in the 1920s. He'll he'll be the only Super Bowl got three in a row. And that's never happened, at least in our lifetimes.
Mm.
And so that's on the line. Then obviously the Eagles, they have a big fan base, and they just a chance for redemption since they lost it last time against the Chiefs. So yeah, and then there's a hope. Now, there's been a whole controversy for the Chiefs throughout the season because they got Taylor Swift on their side. So that's with the linkage to music. Her and Travis Kelsey, the tight end there. He's a tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, they're still going. They're still an item for whatever reason, but I guess it works for them. So she's showing up at all the games every time,
What are they
and
calling this? Is there like a Swifty Bowl or the Swift Bowl? Are they calling it?
they've been. I mean, but they've been together for so long. It's been what, a year and a half, right? At least 2 years almost. And so, I guess this is just what she does. She shows up at the games, shows up at the Super Bowl, and a lot of football fans don't like it, right? It's just bringing in other folks in there that they don't want to see. And it's been rumors that the NFL has been kind of helping the Chiefs, right, with some controversial referee plays. So that's the football angle of all this, right? So just to give you some flavor of what this is, but I know you don't care about any of that. So
No, it's interesting. As I said, I'm not like I stopped watching football like intensely when I stopped playing football video games.
mhm.
We discussed that, but no, I'm still interested in it. I think it's interesting. I'm just trying to find out. There's got to be a name for this, like the Swifty Bowl. The
Well, they were together during last Super Bowl too, so this has been a thing for a while.
Yeah, yeah, we talked about it last year.
Yeah, so it is what it is. Uh, well, just funny. So, what's driving all Super Bowl, right? Is, I mean, football viewership, right? I do definitely think fantasy football helped a lot with that. Football is more of an event type sport because they typically, not lately, but typically only play once a week, right? And so you get excited by your team for once a week. Oh, they're gonna play this week, right? And I can get ready for it. And then fantasy football, I got into a couple years back, but I got out of it too because it was too much time to kind of keep up with that. So then, of course, the Madden football games, those are big time. But I think what's taking sports, but specifically NFL to the stratosphere,
Hmm.
it's got to be sports gambling. I just listened to a podcast the other day. We talked about this too, but you remember Michael Lewis, the great writer of The Blind Side,
Okay,
um, Moneyball. You probably
yeah,
seen some of those
Moneyball.
movies, right? Yeah, he has a podcast called Against the Grain, and he's just talking about all these different scenarios of sports in general. And I think first year he did about players, and one year he did about the coaches. So this last season of his podcast, he did on the fan, and he went deep into sports gambling, and it's by far more pervasive and worse than we thought about, and we discussed on this channel. He said 60% of all college age men are gambling now on their phones, and when you and that's a lot.
No, it's interesting. It's gotten much younger than I would have expected. I keep I keep in touch with some of the game people. Like, hey, gamers, what are you up to? What are you doing? Da da da. Hey, how's it going? Blah blah blah. And a lot of the people in the industry are talking about their kids or kids that they know gambling. and this wasn't a discussion before. Like there were a couple people you always knew who gambled. It's like whatever, but it's so mainstream now. Like if you're into sports, you're talking about sports, you're kind of talking about gambling, and if you're not, you know somebody who is. So it's really bizarre. I'm talking about the younger set, not necessarily the older cats who are like whatever, you know.
Yeah, I mean, we've been there, but you remember back in the day, gambling wasn't even a thing. I mean, we went to Vegas and we gambled and have fun doing that, but it wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm going to gamble, with a bookie. That just wasn't a thing for us. But
Yeah.
with the advent of this, right, and gamifying everything,
Hmm.
so now you can download. I just downloaded. There was an app. They told me the app. It was called Flipped, and you could just download it, and they change your money into flip dollars so you can gamble legally. Because in certain states you can't gamble, right? But you can
Yeah.
get around that, and it
Um,
becomes a little game, and they gamify it. It's like, oh, you won, And so, true story. I was watching the Eagles play the Commanders, Washington Commanders, in during my daughter's birthday dinner a couple of weeks ago. So I was like, okay, let me watch this. The two young waiters, men, both men, came up to me, and both times both of them said, "What's the score?" Now I asked them. I said, "Are you interested in the score because of the teams, or do you have a parlay on this?" They both said, "Man, I'm just want to know the score, man. Just want to know the score. I just gotta get my fix." So yeah, man. It's so I say all that to say is just this gambling is just more pervasive and is really pushing, uh, things like the Super Bowl, even NBA. Right? Those are the two main sports people gamble on, um, into the stratosphere because people are putting their money on these little apps in their phone to make more money. And so, true story, he said the thing is, the apps are so good now, though. If you are really a good gambler, right, you know the odds and you can understand expected value. So you may lose a little bit, but you know when to bet big,
yeah.
they will identify you so quick and kick you off the games. So it's like if you talk to anyone, you say, "Oh yeah, how long you been gambling? Oh yeah, you still in the app? Yeah, yeah, I've been playing for years." That's a person that is terrible with their money. Because the apps know they have so much information. I mean, the only way they can get around it, these sharks, is either having what they call mules, basically people playing for them,
Hmm.
in different areas, or they lose so much at the beginning that the apps don't catch them for a while, right? But they eventually catch you if you're good. So I just say that if you're gambling on these apps, have fun, but you're not good because they haven't kicked you off yet.
Yeah.
So
It's a whole thing. The like people are worried about the influence, and they have this idea of some shady character in a trench coat, you know, and like he'll come bust your kneecaps or whatever, and that's they say like that's gambling. It's like yeah, but in terms of the effect, it's the much more toxic effect to society is the abs because they're getting everybody, the people who, you know, wouldn't dare step foot in a sports bar or, wouldn't go find a bookie or somebody to even talk about a lot of gambling with. But now it's just, yeah, I was looking at what you were saying about kicking people off. It says, yeah, they don't outright, most of them don't outright like say, hey, you're doing too well, get off. They change your limits, they change what you can actually bet on, they start adjusting
exactly.
your settings.
Well, then if they start doing that, if you're a gambler and you know the numbers, then they'll make it so hard for you to even make your numbers
Yep.
because you can't get as much anymore now, right? So when it's time to bet big, right? Just like card counting in Vegas, right? If you
Yeah.
play blackjack 21, there's games you can play to card count. If they catch you, they kick you out.
Yeah.
So it's very similar, but on the app level. So yeah, man, it's and the Super Bowl is by far the Super Bowl of all this because now you can gamble on like how long it's going to take the singer to sing in the national anthem, right? Or you can gamble on how many people are going to watch the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
You can gamble on uh the coin toss, right? So it's just like anything you can gamble on, like how long will Kendrick Lamar perform? Not like us. You could there's prop bets all over the place to gamble on Super Bowl.
Yeah. So Yeah, it's strange. It's a whole social thing too. So it's like
Yes, that's too.
you and your 17 friends who graduated high school together are slowly, you know, circling the drain. And well,
They
no,
said gambling is bad.
John won last week. We should try again. Oh, Jacob won this week. We should keep trying. Next thing you know, all y'all broke.
Well, they said, if you go to other countries like Australia, you can see the pervasiveness of gambling. It's affecting communities. They even done a study where they can determine the poverty level based on how many people are gambling in that zip
Ooh,
code. So the numbers are there, man. So it's just like, thank God I never, I may have other vices, but that's the vice that I never, because I think when I started losing, I just like, man, I could have used that money for something else. So it's just like, it's fun for a little bit, but it's like it's never got a hold of me, that dopamine hit, right, from gambling. So, but I digress, man. But the big game, if you think about the business side of it, so that's one side, the gambling side. But when you look at the viewership, they're predicting it's going to be 117 million for, this year that will show up. They also said it'll probably be a little small decrease from 2024 and
okay.
2023. But one of the things I think they're not accounting for, and this is Forbes said this, is the fact that for the first time, they're going to put on all the streaming, right? I think so. That's going to be new. The
All
Super
of
Bowl
them,
on streaming,
like all the majors.
not all the majors. You know what? Let me look at it. I don't know exactly which streaming service will get it, but they're also going to record how many sports bars will be having the channel on. Usually they don't record that as viewership
Uh huh.
because they just like it's out there. But if you go to your local Applebee's and they're playing the Super Bowl on 5 channels, that's 5 channels watching the Super Bowl, right? Now,
Yeah,
granted, it could be 100 people in there, but they're starting to incorporate sports bar viewership as numbers. And why that's important? Because advertising, baby, right? And so the more
yeah,
people watch it, I mean, where else can you get 117 million people to watch their captured audience? Matter of fact, that's one of the few places where people sit around to watch the commercials
yeah.
in this day and age. I can't remember the last time I actually sat down and watched a commercial.
You know,
Um,
so I just looked it up before we jump to the commercials. Um, I did. I'm looking at where can I stream Super Bowl 2025. 59, right? That's the number.
mhm.
It's going to happen on Fubo. I don't know if anybody's using Fubo. I don't hear about it, but I see the name come up quite a bit. Tubi,
Mhm.
Direct TV Stream, Sling TV, YouTube TV, and Hulu with Live TV.
Okay, yeah, there you go.
Hmm.
I predict. I heard this from someone else though, but I kind of predicted. I eventually we're going to have a Super Bowl, a streaming Super Bowl. So it will no longer be on broadcast, but it would be on Netflix or something, right? The Super Bowl. That's
Who gets it? You think?
Netflix. It's got to be Netflix. Netflix has got the bigger pockets.
You think they're setting that up with their WWE Live and all that? Like that
Absolutely, they're getting better and better at it.
every week they're
Yeah.
testing it out with WWE.
But then, the Christmas NFL games, right? That was a big test, especially the Beyonce Bowl in the middle.
Okay.
That was the big test. Remember? I mean, it didn't flick, not too many complaints. So I think they're getting better and better at it. And the fact that NFL, think about it from a business standpoint, they're like, we got to get international. That's how the NBA grew, right? NBA became the Olympics, the dream team that allowed them to become more of an international game.
Yeah.
Now you got all these international players, right? Our top players are now all international players, right? Luka Doncic, Victor Wembanyama, what's his name, the Joker. They're all international players, and they're because the game got exposed. So NFL is trying to go international. Have you seen they have games on the West Coast that come on at 6:30 in the morning there for you guys because they're over in England, so they're playing at noon. It's like football games, right?
Yeah.
Or football, soccer. So from a business standpoint, they're looking to go international. So it makes sense for them to partner with Netflix. And Netflix, I mean, that's going to be a huge. I mean, it's not going to be solely Netflix, of course, but that's going to be a huge amount of money because they just saw the NBA got $67 billion, and they're like, okay, we're going to get way more than that, and so they're looking for maybe 100. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 150 billion dollar streaming deal. It's going to be huge, huge. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's the business of the Super Bowl, Mr. Benja. then the commercials, right? Those are the things that I think people are excited to see. Um,
Are they?
Before we get into the, well, yeah, I mean, aren't you going to watch the Super Bowl commercials?
Uh, After the fact. So I haven't, I kind of watch them just out of entertainment sake and nostalgia's sake. But are like, is it a thing with the younger crowd? Oh, no, a lot of it, like right after the Super Bowl happens, they show up on YouTube and people just watch those, right?
Yeah, good point. But it's something about watching if you have a Super Bowl party or with your
Okay.
family. Something about watching it that you get excitement from, and oh, look at that Super Bowl commercial, and you can talk about it the next day. I mean, think about it. Everything. The only thing that's getting people's attention is
Hmm.
events, right? Unless you just are constantly pinging them with notifications and all this other crap. So Super Bowl is an event. Watching commercials is an event. It's like this is the time we set aside to watch commercials. So we're gonna watch them. And so I think watching commercials during the Super Bowl has become an event now. And so yes, absolutely,
All right.
people are into it. And so I mean, memorable, Super Bowl commercials are just commercials. Can definitely move the needle with brand awareness. Obviously, who can't forget the Clydesdale horses, right? For Budweiser and What's Up,
Yeah.
and so beer commercials, this is a huge, I mean, they already have huge awareness, brand awareness, but it can help change the narrative around them or move them in different directions, especially if I think who launched that year? There was a new kind of I think Bud Light. It was like the first like light beer. Tastes great, less filling, right?
Hmm.
Or Miller Light. I think that's what I think they premiered in the Super Bowl, and that changed the whole genre of light beer for so
Yeah.
instead of
Yeah.
having regular beer, you can have light beer now, and the commercials open that, or the famous 1984 commercial from Apple, right, which premiered and showed the whole the what is it, the hammer, when she swung the hammer at the screen, and it
Yep.
was
Yep.
basically break free from the Microsoft PC era and get a Mac, right, which is more friendly and open to people. So that's probably one of the most famous ones, right? And so as a creative, Mr. Benja, that's the business side, right? Can it change a narrative? Can it launch a brand? Can it launch a product? But as a creative, who's been on that side of the what are you guys talking about to kind of get people excited about the brand or product when you're launching on such a big stage potentially?
Okay. Well, and this is back to, we're talking about, yay being an art project. When you start to view these things, a lot of creatives, to really get into that space, you start to stop thinking about what you're doing in normal terms and just try to express something. And however that gets distilled into a commercial or a launch is hopefully going to work. Otherwise, you may need to rewind and say, okay, what are we really trying to express? How come that expression didn't come off properly? Now, you start to, that sounds maybe a little artsy fartsy, but you think back to like, where's the beef? And that that was a quintessential expression that people had when they viewed some of these burgers they were eating. They're like, where's the beef? And it was kind of funny. You would joke with your friends, you would open it up and like, you see this? What is this? And that captured the entire expression. 3 words, and you could really push that whole thing. Um, Coca-Cola with the polar bears. It's like, polar bears are nice, friendly, they're grand. People generally like them. I don't know anybody who's saying like, "Ugh, I don't like polar bears." You know, Coca-Cola uses them, and you get this cold, refreshing, happy, winterish, timeless effect just by invoking, a polar bear smiling and holding a Coca-Cola. So you start getting into trying to what your brand expresses to people, not just how many, butts can I get in the seat, what kind of computer graphics can I use, what actors can I get to star in it, can I get people to laugh. That stuff may work to get attention, but does it get that engagement? Does it get that
Mm.
desire? Does it
Mhm.
latch on to the person? And after the campaign is said and done, does the person still walk around with that image branded in their mind?
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, and Super Bowl is a great time for it. And it's like, it's a different kind of thing because people are captivated at that moment. They're like, instead of being blindsided by it or caught off guard or going viral, people actually stopping and saying, okay, hold on a second. You've got a commercial. You're going to advertise something to me. Do it now. That's a different type of pressure that's really weird for the Super Bowl.
Good point. I mean, you know, I was thinking about the great Super Bowl commercials, and they always kind of tie in an attribute of the product, right? That wants to draw you in, like a character, right? And so
Hmm.
when you think about the "What's Up" ads, it's about you drink a bud when you just hanging with your buddies, right? Just
Yeah.
having a good time, and that's what that "What's Up" ad was about. What's up? What's
That's
up? What's up? Being silly, you know, we all been there, but just hanging out and just, hey, I'm enjoying time with my buddies. I don't have to be serious, but doing nothing, drinking a bud, right? And just that was an attribute. Just this is what you drink when you're around your friends and enjoy that time. Or
yeah.
the Apple commercial we talked about, right? It was about the attribute was, hey, this you remember the whole product design was around uh having fonts, different fonts, right?
Hmm.
Because Steve Jobs, you know, he took a writing course, right, and how to, you know, do calligraphy and all that. And so to
Yeah.
him, you know, having a computer that had, you know, you could be expressive and be different than what you saw on traditional computers, because which made sense, right, from a business standpoint.
Hmm.
They were trying to make assembly line computers, right? Everybody gets the same computer, so we can mass produce it. But Apple is like, look, we're going to make something that can be creative and use and artsy fartsy, and that was how we are going to, you know, bake our steak to be a true differentiator from the number one product. So I definitely see that, you know, the ads, if you do them right, they can latch onto an attribute. And that's probably why crypto, you know, and or the .com. Mr. Benja, we've been around a while, so we've seen major pushes in different areas. So you remember the .com craze, the pets.com,
Hmm.
you know, the whole .com thing. So that was the big push, and everyone had a website. And the Super Bowl commercials at that time, they had these companies that had no money, and they got all this funding from venture capitalists, and they spent millions of dollars to say, hey, pets.com or, you know, dogs.com or whatever, and they were promoting just the people come to their website to potentially maybe buy something, but it was all about getting traffic with that commercial.
Yeah.
And it was really not tied to anything but just a funny story, right? And then likewise, when you look at the other coin not too long ago was crypto. They just had a
Hmm.
bunch of celebrities in there, and it was just about crypto's going to be different. But how is it going to be different, right?
Yeah.
You had LeBron James up there talking to his younger self. Okay, that's cool. You had Larry David talking about how easy it is with crypto to make money, but it was nothing that was tied to an attribute to make it last long. So maybe to your point, Mr. Benja, if it can't be lasting unless it can kind of evoke some kind of resonant product differentiation and characteristic that makes sense for the people. If that
That
makes
that last part you said, that makes sense for the people. To me, any good like commercial, you put something out, you instantly latch on, and you're like, yeah, I'm there. I catch that expression. It's not just talking with me. We're talking the same language. I don't know if that's if you've ever been hit by that at some point. Like if you go to a certain city and like you go to a certain city or go to a certain event or go to a concert's an even better thing. Like you may know the person you're listening to, you may have seen them in in a music video or something, or heard about them on the news, but when you go to their concert, you see their fans, you see the merch. When they get on stage, that you see how they walk, not how they you know present themselves in a music video, but you actually see how the person walks and carries themselves and the way
mm,
they talk to their friends, and you're like, oh, oh, I get it.
mhm.
I'm kind of there now, and when you can do that with an advertisement or a promotion, or somebody says, oh, I get it, I need to be a part of this. That's all most creators are looking for.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's all about as a creative, I guess, evoking real human emotion or tapping into something inside yourself to say, hey, you know, this is part of me, and people react to that, so I'm not so alone anymore. And so that's how I always think about
Yeah.
creatives.
Yeah, it
It
apply.
validates your pain or your trauma or
No,
your joy in
you
some
connect
cases.
because
Yeah.
in our speak, we're not trying to get a reaction out of somebody. We're trying to resonate with somebody. And I think that those words don't get differentiated enough. Like, oh, he's just trying to get a rise out of you. Yes, he's trying to get a reaction, but more so, he's trying to resonate with something out there. So,
So if you look at the Venn diagram or circles,
mhm.
uh, a reaction is a huge bubble. Resonate is in the middle of that bubble, right? Because you get all kinds of reactions, but there's only a few things that resonate with you.
Yes, I was sitting here thinking, would the resonate be slightly outside of, would it be intersecting or totally
Well, if
encircled
they
by?
react, there probably is resonate on some level, maybe a
Not see,
negative.
okay. Now, does resonate always mean positive or negative? See, that's something, we're getting into the definition of it or not.
Yes, I love
But
it.
like,
That's what we do on this pod.
you know,
Vocabulary breakdowns, grammar.
if somebody farts during a funeral, it may get a reaction out of me. I do not resonate with that person. I might have to ask them to leave. So
What did resonate?
resonate in my nostrils.
Negatively.
I was like, ooh,
What
you
other
you
thing?
ain't
One
dead
fun
yet.
thing
What are
we
you farting for?
I love it. I love it. One fun thing we want to leave with is like commercials. We'll talk about our favorite commercials here real quick. But hey, look, if you have a favorite commercial, put it in the comments, put a link to it. Maybe we'll give you a shout out another time. But
Yeah, I'd like to know.
yeah, me too. So Mr. Benja, what are some of your favorite ones and why?
I did start off with "Where's the Beef" because honestly, my brother and my sister used to go to McDonald's a lot, and I'd end up getting McDonald's food. And I just really wasn't satisfied with the beef, man. It was even back then with they had the little diced onions just kind of sprinkled on there, kind of weird. You're like, man, what is this? And it wasn't like a real burger. But I was going to Wendy's, Whataburger, you get a Whopper, and those were like beefy burgers. And when they came out with that "Where's the Beef," boom, perfect resonation. I was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna hang out with these old ladies and crack on McDonald's burgers all day.
Love it. I mean, I kind of talked about 1984. Basically, it's the groundbreaking Super Bowl ad directed by Ridley Scott, the guy who did Alien, introducing the Macintosh computer, which established Apple as a revolutionary force against conformity and setting the standard for Super Bowl advertising with its cinematic quality and bold messaging. So yes, it kind of set the stage for it all. And if you remember, it's as classic as it is. It's basically was very cinematic and all that. So yeah, 1984 is always kind of goes down for me as a great Super Bowl commercial.
I mentioned "Where's the Beef," but that wasn't a Super Bowl commercial necessarily. It was just a campaign. Um, but as far as Super Bowl goes, I was always the Budweiser bottles when they had Bud versus Bud Light, the bottles. As a kid, those bottles playing football made me want to drink. I just, I was like, yo, the bottles can do that. And then I was gonna be in the grocery store and see the bottles, and I'm just like, I need some of them bottles, dog. I'm gonna play football. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, that's right. They had the little helmets on. Yeah, that was cute.
I loved it.
um, the most interesting man in the world, Dos Equis, right? 2006. A cultural phenomenon celebrating charisma and adventure, transforming a relatively unknown beer brand into a household name and generating countless memes while increasing sales by 34% at a time when imported beer sales were declining. So that changed the game, business. It was just, I mean, they just couldn't bring it back once the guy retired. I think they tried to bring in another younger guy, but it just didn't keep. But you remember those? Have you ever rode a bull while eating a pizza?
Yeah,
Just the craziest thing, and like meet the most interesting man in the world. He said, I don't always drink beer, but when I do, it's Dos Equis.
yeah.
It's classic.
Other memorable commercials. I mean, Super Bowl wise, like I can't really think of too many that jump out at me for the Super Bowl in particular. But the Legend of Zelda rap was
Go
always
for it.
what
Do
what.
it. Do it. Do it.
Okay, yeah, it's one of those things. That's one of my first memories. It's the Legend of Zelda. It's really rad. Those creatures of Ganon's, they're really bad. You got your Octoroks and all that. And It was. I hated when they put rap in
Zelda
commercials,
Princess
but for
Peach.
some reason, this Zelda rap commercial worked for me, and I had that recorded on VHS, and I'll rewind that and play it over and over again. So it's phenomenal.
Nintendo, yeah, definitely. Yeah, they did that, but the competitor, Sega, they had me at go, boy. When Sonic the Hedgehog came out, Altered Beast, and then they
Yeah,
had that rap song. They had that. It wasn't a rap song. It was basically a funky R&B hit, boy. It was like Sega does has better graphics, has not Mike Tyson Punch Out, but Buster Douglas, right? They had
that was so whack.
Pat Riley. Yeah, it was all whack. They had they had Joe Montana. Yep. So instead of Madden, they had Joe Montana. Then Mike Tyson had. It's like, who's the second best guy we can get? But yeah, that was a classic. The wait a minute, Sega, what Genesis does, what Nintendo don't. Hilarious. Go check that commercial out. And then I want to end it real quick with Hilltop. That's the famous Coca Cola commercial where a bunch of hippies are on the hilltop and it says, I want to teach the world to
Yeah,
sing in perfect harmony, and made classic by the famous ending to Mad Men, where the main character, Don Draper, in theory, came up with this ad. So, which is one of the most famous ads of all time.
yeah,
And to your point, it hits on all the points. Coca Cola was down. They use it as a unifying force to say, hey, sharing at Coke and being can bring peace and unity to the world. And that changed their projections for financial means, but also became a powerful story. So yeah, it hit all, and it became so iconic that we saw it in the late 2000s with a great TV show. So it's just that Hilltop hits all the buttons at the same time. So guys, if you got a favorite commercial out there, put it in the show notes. We'll give you a shout out. But yeah, these commercials are probably the best synopsis of show versus business. Absolutely.
yeah. I think so. They're an interesting form of expression and art
They are, Mr.
and
Benja.
commerce.
So definitely commerce. So do we want to get into the trailers this week?
Yeah, man. So, we got some trailers. We're having fun with these. We're going to keep doing them as long as you guys are responding. We just want to react to some trailers here. And we've got two, and I added a third one. I don't know if you want to do that one, but I thought it was funny. I haven't
Let's
seen that
see.
one either. But,
What? Okay.
yeah, I just listed the title.
One is not really a trailer. It's kind of a bunch of things in there, but we can watch it.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're
Um,
not ready.
oh, that's the one James recommended. I haven't. Have you watched these? I haven't watched it.
No, I haven't watched it either, but we can watch that one too.
Okay, well, let's start out with the big one.
Yeah, hold on. Let me pull all these up so we can have them ready to go.
Let's see.
Well, this is a commercial. One of them I can tell already, but we can go through that.
The,
What made you want to watch that one with Tom Holland?
oh, because I don't know. I saw it in Target in this big display, and I'm like, man, I'm here for some chips and nachos and you know and whatever. I'm
Yeah,
not looking out for Tom Holland, but
well, let's do it. It's only 23 seconds. So you want to do our first commercial trailer?
yeah,
We can watch.
let's start with the big one. All right. So,
Which one?
in order, we'll do them in order.
Okay.
So, up first for this week's trailer reactions on Show versus Business is the Fantastic Four First Steps. This is our official teaser that we just got from Marvel. Some of you probably saw it over the week. We're just now going to react to it for the first time. Theo, what are you expecting here? What do you think?
A lot of retro stuff. I didn't watch it, so I was tempted though, Mr. Bender, but I did not watch it yet. So I
No.
waited. Matter of fact, I was trying to get you to watch it with me early. I was like, let's watch it early. Like, so
Bad timing.
guys, I
Sorry.
have not watched it. Yeah, I have not watched it, but a lot of retro stuff. I just hope Mr. Thing doesn't look cheap.
Mm.
That can look cheap if it's, CGI or if it's too much practical effects. But I mean, the rumblings I'm hearing was pretty decent, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm curious. What about you? What's your expectations going in?
Uh, I'm keeping my expectations at whatever. I don't know what's going on with any of these people in the cast, their actors in their lives. I haven't heard too much about it, so I kind of kept my head down on this one. I just know this is highly, I don't want to say anticipated, but it's important for the MCU franchise. And I come into these
Absolutely.
with an open mind, regardless of what appears in the comments. I do come at these with an open mind. So um, we'll watch the trailer, and then we'll talk about it a little at the end. Sound good?
All right. Sounds good.
All right, let me cue this up. Get my screen ready. This is the Fantastic Four First Steps official trailer by Marvel Entertainment, and we're starting in three, two, one, play.
Welcome to the Baxter Building.
We make a point to do family dinner every week. Sunday at 7, on the dot, no matter what. We're all here.
Herbie, how's that sauce coming?
Yeah, I'll be the judge of that.
Okay. Okay, is this guy good or what? I want to add a couple cloves of garlic. Not because it's not delicious, I just want to add a little bit of zip, okay?
T-5.
Before we went up the first time, you couldn't turn invisible. Ben wasn't a rock.
The best pilot in the world right here.
Yeah. Best looking, he means.
And Johnny never caught fire.
Ben has always been a rock. Johnny is Johnny.
Hi!
And I am right here. Whatever life throws at us, we'll face it together. As a family.
All
Okay.
right, that was the Fantastic Four First Steps official teaser.
I should have put prop bet up for how many times they're gonna say family.
Family. They did say family quite a bit in there. It's a, it's definitely okay. I like that they're going with the retro feel. I kind of like the styling. It took me a second to kind of embrace, because I guess I've been thinking about Doctor Doom because of Fantastic Four, and just recently all the Doctor Doom talk with Tony Starks and uh, Tony Stark and what they're doing with Rob Downey Jr. has me thinking of a different version of Doctor Doom. So I had to switch my brain over a little bit to get retro again, and I think I'm digging it. I don't know enough. It did do its job of being a teaser. It's got me interested.
Hmm. Yeah, good point. Yeah, first I saw was okay. This is very Jetsons, right? I mean,
Mm.
meet George Jetson. If you guys don't see it, go watch it. Classic. That's what we thought the future was going to look like, guys. In the 80s, in the 70s. Well, really, that came out in the 60s. I want to say that cartoon, but you and I watched it in the 80s. But
Yeah.
here we are in the future. It looks nothing like the Jetsons, but I digress. But yeah, it was. So that's the first thing I saw. Which okay, let's connect it there. The retro feel, okay. So you saw how they spent a lot of time with uh, the thing, Ben, and they wanted you to kind of show you, okay, this is what's gonna look like. So get used to it, because that I knew that was going to be the biggest thing. So it's funny what they will show and what they won't show, right? So I think they're like, hey, we just got to get you prepared. This is what it looks like. So if you hate it, you're gonna let us know right away, or you just like, or you love it, then we'll know. Kind of like with the Sonic the Hedgehog, right? They had like a
Yeah.
whole extended view of what Sonic looked like. People hated it. Go back to the drawing board.
Oh my God. Think about
Change it.
Hey, and conspicuously absent was Mr. Fantastic's powers.
Yeah, good point.
And
Yeah, they showed everybody else's. You're right.
after, hey, I'm saying after One Piece came out, I'm pretty sure they were like, all right, we got to tighten up the graphics on level 3.
Oh, interesting. You're right. Good point. Yeah, because yeah, I mean, but then again, they're a little bit, the tone is a little bit more goofier. So, you can get away with some of the stretchy
Exactly.
powers. So now, how are you going to do that to make it look kind of, interesting? But yeah, you're right. We didn't see that. Um,
As I,
what else?
as I
I
said
like,
before, I can't tell from the teaser, but all they have to do is not be worse or be better than The Incredibles, which is the previous best Fantastic Four movie ever.
I don't think they can, man. The Incredibles was pretty good.
This is interesting.
This is tough. It's tough. I mean, retro feel, got it. The familyness of it all, right? I think
Yeah.
how do you, that's going to be the key. How do you sell that kind of storytelling and make that, realistic? I did like the shot of Johnny flying and, him in the air, just kind of floating there in space almost.
Okay.
That was kind of cool. You know, yeah, you're right. We saw everybody's powers. They did a lot of Invisible Girl or Invisible Woman, Sue.
Hmm.
They showed a lot of her powers, which I figure that's probably easy to do, right? It's just, some CGI bubble. So, and she's invisible. She's not
Yeah.
there. The actress is not there no longer. So she's right next to you. Don't you see her?
The coffee is drinking itself.
Oh my goodness, some strings.
Get those strings out of there.
It's like this. She's sitting next to me. Anyway, but anyway, the big reveal obviously was Galactus, right at the end with the horns coming out of the, coming for the island of, I guess, New York,
Yeah.
Manhattan, and so sure, I mean, let's go for it.
I like how you just said sure. Anytime you say sure like that, it kind of cracks me up inside. But so the Marvel fanboys, I haven't checked the comments at all. I kind of keep myself in the dark about some of these until I watch them, like I did right here. And his head being like he's bigger than that. It doesn't make sense how big he is in the comics. So they're shrinking him down a bit. It seems, unless that.
I thought well, I think they resized him, right? So it can make sense where he actually goes into a bigger machine, right? To actually eat the planet. So
The
he's
Tatu.
big.
You mean the Tatu, a spaceship?
Yes.
Okay.
So he could be smaller where he can show up on a planet and look around, talk to people. But he's okay, deuces, I'm about to eat your planet. Let me go to my spaceship. And then he gets in that spaceship and that thing starts munching. So I'm fine with that. I'm not too worried about that.
Wait a minute. Okay, a comic book resources says officially Galactus is 28 feet 9 inches. Like, get out of here.
Yeah. He
But
gets in the ship.
it says, however, this is wildly varying and in its variability opens the doors to the character's true potential and all he's accomplished. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, that seems smaller than. Oh, okay. I'd heard of this theory. It's that he can change his height, but I never really followed Galactus enough to know that he could change his height.
I mean, let's be honest. He's supposed to be like a force of nature, so it's hard to put a character on the force of nature. So it's kind of like, that's why we don't. What's his backstory? Where he grew up in the hard streets of,
Yeah,
Alpha Centauri.
exactly.
One day I will be the biggest
So
planet
yeah,
puncher around.
all I did was search Galactus, and one of these links that they decided that I needed to see was, why is Galactus so small in the MCU's Fantastic Four? Listen, I don't bring up these things to nitpick and call them wrong or bad or good or whatever. I'm just pointing them out because they're a creative decision that somebody made. Like, hey, let's make him accessible, or hey, let's make him otherworldly. Because the Eternals have already shown that there are characters much larger, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've got the body of one hanging out in the ocean somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. Inside our core of the planet, you know. So yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not
It's
overall.
just interesting.
So
We'll see.
yeah, I know we're kind of splitting hairs a little bit because that's what, you know, MCU nerds do, right? But let's see. I'm trying to think. Did we see anything that was interesting? I'm looking at who's in here. I mean, you know, it's yeah, Pedro Pascal. I don't know. He's not giving me um Reed Richards. I don't know. Maybe I'm just used to, you know, somebody maybe a little taller, a little bit nerdier, you know. And Pedro's a great actor. Don't get me wrong. I mean, you know, but I'm not seeing that yet with him. Sue. I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, she's very pretty, but you know, I don't really get. I don't get. I don't have a sense of what Sue is about. I definitely think this guy Joseph Quinn could be Johnny Storm because if did you remember him? He was in Stranger Things. You remember? Did you watch that the last season of Stranger
Last
Things?
season, no.
Okay, yeah, he came in as a firebrand. I mean, he instantly made himself felt, and he was kind of like, bro, you know. So if you've seen him in that, you're like, okay, I see why they cast him as Johnny Storm. And the other guy, he is in the show you watch now, based on what I told you,
The
the
bear.
bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cousin.
I think he makes a good Ben Grimm.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll see. So where do we rank this? I think we're both kind of cautiously. Well, I'm cautiously optimistic. I mean, I think you're intrigued.
Yeah. You know, somebody. Um, yeah, we'll get to that later. But yeah, I am intrigued about this. It should be interesting. As I said, I keep my mind open for all these things, even though I do look for certain like creative choices. What I try to do, I guess, is prepare myself for what the movie is going to be, not what I expect it to be. So when I notice
Yeah.
they do something like, oh, okay, they're making him a little less grand in size, which means he's a little more approachable. Same thing they did with Thanos. Same thing they did with Hulk. Uh, you know, they nerf him down a little bit to make it a little more approachable and sensible.
Nerf him down. I love that. Make a Nerf version of Galactus.
Yep.
You can throw him around the house. All right. Do we want to get to the next one?
Yeah. What's the next one I got queued up here? All right. So this is one that our producer James sent over. We have a Netflix trailer. You're Not Ready. Next on Netflix in 2025. This is 3 minutes long, and I'm supposing it's just going to go through a bunch of Netflix trailers. I don't know if you've watched these for any other years, Theo.
I have not.
No, I don't attend to them or anything like that, so I don't know what Netflix has got going on. But this should be good. We can give a quick rundown of what we like about it, what we don't, what we're hyped about, and what we're not. We don't like before we watch the actual things. We don't dislike before we watch the actual product. We're just talking about the trailer here.
Exactly.
We are professional haters, but not right now.
I hate. I got a PhD in hate.
I drank 2 cups of haterade this morning. What makes you think I ain't gonna hate on you?
I'll punt with hate.
Jokes, man. Jokes. Calm down. All right, so let's see how this one goes. You're Not Ready. Next on Netflix, 2025. In 3, 2, 1, play.
About the company's financial condition, the development of product quality, and the profit maximization. First, let's go over the
That was the best show right there. I wasn't ready.
Um, I you know, I'm in the know. I know a little bit about some of those, all those coming out. But I mean, yeah, I mean, Netflix. I guess they got some hits. A lot of this is other. The only new IP I saw was that's really top notch or up there is Stranger Things and Squid Game.
Yeah.
Um, Everything else, I mean, Wednesday, I guess that could kind of, but it's kind of based on something else. Emily in Paris, that was the one in France. You know, that's kind of
Yeah.
some people like that one. The reality show that they have is top notch. Me and the missus watched that. Love is Blind. I don't know if you remember. That was the one where the little she came out and ran to the guy.
Oh, okay.
She
That's
slid
that was
under him.
about.
Yeah, as a reality show. Yeah, that's definitely top notch. That show's gonna go on forever. It's a great premise. But yeah, I think the other Witcher. I don't know if people are talking about that anymore.
Um,
Um,
the Cobra Kai definitely.
Cobra Kai, yeah, but Cobra Kai is almost over, and Witcher's almost over, and Squid Game was almost over. So it's kind of and Stranger Things. So 4 of those are going to be gone after this year. So
I'm surprised they threw in references to Alice in Borderland.
I wonder if those are coming. I saw Frankenstein in there too, so maybe they have
Alice in
some.
Borderland's already had a season. I guess you haven't seen it.
No, I haven't. No.
It's a Korean. Um, it's I don't even know what to categorize these Korean shows as, but Squid Game falls under that same umbrella. So it's like a dark, gritty kind of survival something. You know,
Mhm.
it's not structured like Squid Game, but it's a dark, gritty Korean style of whatever the show is, survival
Yeah,
something.
that's what people. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I was going to check that out. One of I mean, obviously, look, I mean, I don't know the young lady's nationality, but they're going for more of that Asian influence, right, with
Mhm.
Netflix, right? So it kind of made sense to kind of choose that avatar for these different shows. So yeah, they have a breakdown here, all the shows that were featured: Stranger Things, Squid Game, Love Is Blind,
Mhm.
Black Mirror. So that was when she was in the elevator.
Yeah, and the
And that,
mirror cracked.
yeah, it's funny. We don't talk, man. Black Mirror. I don't know if they can emulate reality anymore, man. Everything they kind of talked about is here now. Think
So like,
about it.
old hat.
Yeah, it's kind of like, dude, I don't know what you're gonna make fun of anymore. I mean, yes, I mean AI is here now. So, but anyway, we'll discuss that Wednesday, of course. Alice in Borderland, you called that. Cobra Kai, Emily in Paris. Oh, Wake Up Dead Man. So okay, so now Knives Out is gonna come back out. I don't know. Did you watch any of those? The Knives Out show movies?
Yeah, I watched the first one, and I wasn't mad at it. I was just like, oh, that's what you're doing with the mystery. Okay,
Yeah, I
and
mean, it's good.
I assume some of that was my distrust of what Ryan Johnson likes to do. So
Oh,
no, it's just a stylistic thing.
just
So
hating on
stylistically,
Ryan.
I'm hating on Ryan Johnson now.
You just hating on him, hating on. Yeah, I don't care what he did, man. What he did with uh, was it this? Not the last guy. What was the second
Last
one
Jedi,
called again? Not. It was the last. It wasn't the Last Jedi. What was it called?
the Last Jedi.
It was called the Last Jedi.
Yeah,
Okay, so even though Luke Skywalker is my favorite character of all time, I still thought it was great. So I know people hate on it, but anyway, I digress. Vinny Jr., I don't know what that is. Documentary Troll 2, that was that creature standing up. Witcher season 4, The Electric State. So that's the one with Chris Pratt in it and Millie Bobby Brown from Stranger Things. They're doing it's about some robots that live. It's based on a book. So and then Happy Gilmore. So interesting. No WWE was featured in that. They could have done some of that, but
good point.
yeah. But yeah, I guess.
It kind of reminded me of those old. Um, you didn't have very many of these, but you had like a few NBC commercials where they would get an
Yes.
ensemble group together,
Yeah.
where you'd have Frasier and
Yeah.
the guys from Cheers, and somebody else would
Yeah.
show up, and it's like
Yeah.
all these people from all these different shows, and it's like, hey, it's not about one show; it's about NBC. Watch our network. So that's the kind of
Yeah.
vibes I got from this.
Good point. Yeah, you're taking it back, man. But the challenge with that, they didn't get any other cast from any of these shows appear at least once. You would think they would. They're paying them enough, I'm sure. But
Yeah, yeah. Which is another point. Are people as interested in cast members anymore, or is it just this? Yeah.
well, I can absolutely tell Wednesday Jenny Ortega made that show, right? I mean,
Okay.
she title character, that's it. Stranger Things, you're right, is more of an ensemble show, and different people can kind of come in. Even though Millie Bobby Brown is the one that's running that, but yeah, good point. I don't know, man. It's kind of like let's see, yeah, you're right. Most of these Cobra Kai, I mean, it's an ensemble show mostly, and then Witcher, that's almost over. I mean, are people running to go see the third Hemsworth brother show up? Sure. After
Uh,
Henry Cavill gave it up, I don't know. I saw the first season, and I dropped out after that. Did you keep watching The Witcher?
no, I didn't. The Witcher style wasn't my thing, so
Yeah.
I just said,
Well,
cool.
they
If
messed
you
up the
like it, you like
story.
it. Keep going about your thing.
Well,
I
they were
didn't
trying to be
I didn't
cute
get
with
far
it.
enough into it to get
Yeah, they,
into that answer
yeah,
really.
they were trying to be cute with the first season. It was based on some time jump crap. And it was like the girl was in a shorter time frame, the little young girl, and then the Henry Cavill character had a longer time frame, and then the witch, the older witch,
Okay.
she's been there the longest, but it wasn't clear, right, what time frame you were in, so it was just like all compacted together, which made no sense.
Mm.
So they didn't explain it well. But anyway, so I dropped out after the first season, but okay, yeah. So anyway, are we excited about what's next? I mean, it's Netflix, man. I mean, if it's
Yeah.
not one of these shows that pop up, it'll be some other show that no one saw coming. That's how it works.
Yeah. Okay, so we can skip this last one, which is kind of stupid. And we can talk about last week's responses, or we can do the stupid one and kind of.
No, we talk about last week's responses real quick.
Okay. We were going to review the trailer from Tom Holland, but we will not. All right. So I want to thank everybody for reviewing and checking out the responses, um, for having responses and comments to what we put out there. And I want to thank Chance757 from our Sinners trailer. She commented, we were saying that we weren't sure how much the trailer was showing, how many story elements it was giving out, and we actually gave Kugler props. We're like, hey, this guy's smart and knows what he's talking about. But she actually referenced the fact that they did a talk with him, and he said he showed exactly what he wanted to show in the trailer. And as I said, he's a smart guy and knows really how to put these films together. So we said the same thing about Black Panther, and we mentioned this in the trailer reaction. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. But she mentioned Kugler's very smart. I trust that he showed us all he did in these trailers for a reason. I feel this will definitely be more complicated than you guys gathered from this trailer. Then again, though, I love long trailers that have a lot in them. Makes the wait for the movie a little less painful. I'll be grabbing my opening night tickets for the moment they go on sale. Props.
I love it.
Definitely. I like Kugler. I'm sure it'll be fine. I think people were just getting tripped out on the fact that I said that we were curious if it released too much information or if we wanted that to be held back.
Well, I mean, it was very predictable trailer. Let's be honest. Like who the villains were going to be, we saw that coming, and we predicted about the brother. Let's be honest. And so when that was in media res, right? While we were watching it, we were kind of like, oh, this is going to happen next. So that's when it's like, okay. But I agree. In Kugler, I trust. I'm sure he's a smarter filmmaker than that to just review it. Reveal all the hidden twists and ups and downs of the show, right? So maybe his brother was always a vampire. It doesn't show up to the end, right? He's the true villain, right?
Yeah,
so.
And there are a lot of ways this can go, and honestly, predictable does not necessarily mean bad.
Yeah.
Although predictable can be bad because you told the story in your head, and it's like, oh, I paid all this money just to see a story that was already in my head. We watched a lot of the hero movies. Hero movies are generally predictable. Horror movies, a lot of times, pretty predictable. So I wasn't saying anything bad about it, but yeah,
Don't nobody talk bad about Ryan Coogler. No,
How
me and
dare
Ryan Coogler go back. Don't be talking about no Ryan Coogler. Go check out Living Color, guys. Old reference.
Yeah, and I think we got just in time for Black History Month. I think we got a racist comment maybe here. Uh, user says, I find it really interesting that spectators think they know what a film is going to do, which shows absolutely no respect for the director. It's amazing how many Americans and Black Americans think they know when they don't know. They're guessing. Yeah, I'm guessing. It's a trailer. It's a teaser. Of course, I'm guessing. I don't know what's going on, but I'm just saying it felt like a lot of the movie. That was my feelings. I don't know.
I guess, yeah.
Hey, you know what I think?
And
I think it's amazing how many YouTube commenters think they know what the YouTuber is saying when they don't know and they're guessing.
you know what? I don't. You know me. I don't even read the comments. I just keep it moving. I
Uh,
mean, I get it, but when you put in, you got and behind your statement to kind of emphasize a special group, you might got a smidgen or something in you,
I don't
right?
know
That
that
that differentiates people. So
this could be a a black person in Spain, and maybe that's why they
good
pointed
point.
out. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, Americans. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I
Well,
just don't know.
we didn't talk about it. We got an African American running the government right now.
True, true, true.
So go after, it's not just black Americans, it's African Americans. They out here in these streets, y'all.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, thank you for the comment. Twitter twice. We'll take it in stride.
Can we
Absolutely.
call you X2?
X going to give it to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, I
Flame
love
us
it.
in the comments. We're usually doing this just having fun. We are not upset by any of these comments. So
Nah,
and we don't take it too seriously, but no, we're not we actually absolutely do respect Ryan Coogler and all that he's done. Even back from Fruitville Station, we were talking about that a long
oh
time
man,
ago.
oh yeah,
So
man, great guy, great guy. So
yeah.
yeah. I would love to meet her one day. Just say, man, love your stuff. Oh yeah, you for real? He got that Oakland accent. I might start getting to
Yeah.
the Oakland accent. Yo, for real? Yo. Hyphy.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, yo. Just I might have to start pulling out the Bay Area. So anyway, yeah, man, Mr. Benja, man. Anything else going on this week for you?
Oh man. Um, just same thing, man. Head down, doing my thing. Um, doing the more of the reflecting, really tuning into that and realizing how much it can change my trajectory. So I'm in on that.
I
2080 all
love
the
it.
way.
Yeah, 2080. I love it, man. Man, just building out the sales team, man. I'm getting deep into the numbers. I'm super hyped, man. I found this one guy. He's KD. He's a sales guru, man. He's going in deep on like all the
Oh,
numbers that you need to do for sales. I was like, okay, I can do this, man. I'm trying to get into this, man. It's something powerful. And then I think I also signed up for a this guy I knew in high school. He's like a big time speaker now. Uh, he gave the opening speech to TD Jakes. He's been around. He knows all the gurus. He hung with them back in the day, like Les Miles. He's here in Tampa. Didn't know it. And he's big time now. And so I signed up for his course to maybe start in June. So to kind of work on my speech giving capabilities. So
nice.
yeah, man, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm super excited about what 2025. What's next for the real Theo Harvey in 2025? I got a teaser trailer coming out.
Ooh, I'm a I'm gonna think I'm gonna have absolutely no respect for whoever directs your teaser trailer, and I'm gonna assume I know what's coming in your teaser trailer.
Please do. And I'm gonna flame your ass too. Flame.
But as Chance757 said, I'm sure it'll be much more complicated than I gather from the trailer. You are much more complicated than anyone can gather from these videos.
Oh, well said, Mr. Benja. Well said. Well, everyone, look, hope you enjoyed this episode. Please like, subscribe, and comment at Show versus Business on X, Threads, YouTube, and Instagram. Listen to us at Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Go check us out on our website, Show versus Business. Hey, Mr. Benja, have a great one.
Peace.